So I promised all of you guys I would give you a status update on my progression through the One Piece anime. Now, just to kind of do a brief FYI, to catch all of you up if you don't know where this video is coming from, I recently started to rewatch the anime of One Piece, and the reason why is because I was wanting to get my friend into the series. He's like, you know what, sure, let's watch it, and we've been watching One Piece side by side and all that. Whenever he has the time and I have the time, we watch it. And I updated you guys about like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. I told you guys that we finally made it to, Skypiea, and we finally finished it. We finally finished that arc, and we also finally finished Water 7 in Enies Lobby, and we're now in the middle of Thriller Bark. And I just kind of want to discuss certain things, since, when I became a YouTuber, I actually never really got to talk about some of these arcs, because, at the time I was already caught up with the One Piece manga, was caught up with the anime, so there was really no point to me to discuss that, and I never really got the chance to sit down and discuss certain things that just really got me into the series, and so here I am, just talking about things that really just that I love about One Piece, and I don't think this video is gonna relatively have anything new, or so to say, to discuss. It's me as a One Piece fan just talking about the series and expressing my thoughts on certain arcs I never really got to talk about, because, like I said, I was just already caught up. So anyways, I already kind of discussed Skypiea, and I already talked about how One Piece has aged quite well. That is something that was a big thing that I noticed while rewatching it, is that One Piece as a series, in terms of plot, story, to the characters and all that, it's aged incredibly well. And you can clearly see at that time when One Piece was going on in the early stages of it, before we got into, the Fishman Island arc and stuff, you can clearly see that Toei Animation really cared about One Piece. They put a lot of time and effort into it, and it looked really great. It looked really good. There was some obvious, problems with sometimes here and there, but overall, it was very consistent and a really, really good anime, and you can see that it's just aged incredibly well. It's a great, great show, and I still think of it very highly to this day. After watching so many other shonen nowadays, and actually reading shonen manga, I've came to appreciate how good One Piece is after rewatching it. It lets me know that One Piece definitely deserves its spot as, the #1 spot for a reason. It definitely does, especially after finishing Water 7 and Enies Lobby. So, let's get into that. So, I don't know about you guys, but I found out about this thanks to, rewatching the anime. Did you know that Crunchyroll does not have, opening 8? And they don't have opening 10, Share the World, or wherever, or is it opening 11? I forget. Share the World, the one where we get to, the Saburi and all that. And we also have the one opening to where it takes place in the middle of Enies Lobby arc. Apparently, Crunchyroll doesn't have that opening. They actually use a different opening, and they extend it all the way up to, episode, 400 something. So, it's pretty ridiculous. So, yeah, Crunchyroll, apparently, they can't show the opening song, this certain opening song, because of copyright issues, which I was just really flabbergasted about. I had no idea that was a thing, and because when we got into the certain arc, I was, looking forward to this certain opening, and it didn't start playing. I'm like, what? They had this, really ghetto, weird-looking, opening that was a remix of We Are, the first one. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I love We Are. I really love We Are. It's a great song. It's a classic. It really stands out when it comes to One Piece, but it was a remixed We Are song opening, and it was the crew, the Straw Hats, singing it, which, don't get me wrong, is pretty funny in its own way, but it's not like that opening material that would, suit the arc, it suit the theme and all that, and I'm like, really? And so I looked into it, and I found out, like I said, copyright issues, and I was just completely shocked, and so I had to, go to Funimation. We had to go to Funimation to actually watch One Piece just before we can get the proper opening. Yeah, I did not know that. Did you guys know that? There's openings cut out from the anime of One Piece on Crunchy. The more you know. Anyways, getting into the actual stuff, okay? So, we finished Water 7 in Enies Lobby, and man, oh man, it's been years. It's been years since I have seen that, and I've only, like I said, watched One Piece once. I've actually never reread One Piece. I go back to certain scenes, but I never reread it or rewatched it, and seeing, the build-up once again to the scene with Mary, Mary's, demise, to, Usopp's fight with Luffy and all that, it was incredible. It really I really noticed that Oda put a lot of time and effort to building up that entire arc. When it comes to Water 7 and Enies Lobby, you can see Oda had that in his mind for a very long time. All the damage that Mary, you know, got throughout the journey, throughout the Grand Line, Mary always had that damage. It always stayed there, and he always showed it in the background. And if you're a newcomer to the series, obviously you just like the ship's beat up and can be fixed eventually. You didn't think too much about it. But then when we get to Water 7, it becomes a big problem. You're like, whoa, just all that build-up, all that foreshadowing. And it's amazing how Oda crafted that and made it just so good. I don't know, just the way that built up, it just hits you. And I was able to appreciate that arc even more after rewatching it and understanding certain things Oda has set up for the future of the series. But anyways, getting into the fight, the Luffy and Usopp fight, not even gonna lie to you, I cried. I legit cried. I cried. It was a sad, sad moment. Even though I knew what was coming, even though I knew they were gonna fight, and even though I knew they were gonna become friends once again and they were gonna be back together, it still hit me because it was such a real moment. And after, you know, spending a lot of time now, years now, talking about anime and discussing with all of you guys, I've come to understand probably how much emotion was put into that scene. And man, oh man, did Toei Animation do a fantastic job with that episode. If there's one thing I will give them, they did a fantastic job on that scene. The panning of the camera to showcasing Luffy and Usopp's face, to the crew member's face of shock and worry. And when you see them just having that argument, the emotions in the voice actors, you could see that it probably affected them as well, because when you think about it, they were voice acting for a long period of time. They were legit, you know, working together, co-workers and all that, voice acting for years now. And then when that happens, it probably just hit them. They were probably like, man, these two characters have been friends. They're now bickering and arguing like this. It hits you. You're like, oh man, this is really depressing. And when you see Luffy's like, well, then you could just lead the crew, and then, you know, he gets kicked by Sanji. Before he even finishes the sentence, like, Sanji kicks him into the wall. He's like, what were you about to say? Just the entire moment of it felt so real, and I was like, man, it just makes me appreciate how good of a writer Oda is, and how he can really build up certain things, and really add in some serious emotions when it really needs to be there. But, anyways, besides that, though, let's also talk about, like, the stuff with Robin and all that. So, Robin, man, okay, so Robin's backstory, man, I think it actually is appropriate that, you know, I rewatched the arc of Water 7 in Enies Lobby, since Robin is technically very important for the endgame of One Piece. I mean, she is probably one of the most important characters of the series, because she could read, you know, poneglyphs and all that. She is extremely important, and seeing her backstory once again, what she went through and all that, I have a whole new appreciation for Kuzan, you know, the Admiral. I have a new appreciation for him because of what he did for Robin, how he, you know, handled the Straw Hats, you know, how he kind of gave her his blessing and left after the end of the arc and just left her be. Just all those different little moments. It truly was a great way to just handle Robin's character. And once again, Oda did a great job with that. He did a lot of perfect build up to that very scene, emphasizing what needs to be emphasized until it was finally revealed. I think he just did a good job. And if I had to say, Water 7 Enies Lobby, it's easily one of my favorite arcs. It's easily one of my favorite arcs. There's a lot better arcs out there. For instance, you know, Impel Down to Whitebeard War and all that. Just, there's a lot of good arcs and stuff. But I will say, I'm a big fan of Water 7 Enies Lobby. It just had a really nice theme and vibe to it. And I think Oda, he really put a lot of time and effort to the build-up to that. Because he was clearly planning for that since the very beginning. And you could just really see when you see certain things are revealed. Now let's talk about Frankie, though. Frankie as a character was also introduced in this arc. And man, I remember why I love Frankie. I remember why I love Frankie. Super! I love him. I love Frankie. And seeing this man start off as a villain, it's crazy, because he actually starts off as a bad guy in Water 7. He's not a good guy at all. He's kind of like the bad guy, and I mean, the Straw Hats go to get revenge against him and just beat the crap out of the, you know, the Frankie family. It's just like, whoa, like, just seeing these certain things and seeing how much has happened between these characters, how much has changed, I was like, wow, it's crazy how much these characters have changed since their starting point, and seeing how Frankie was and how he changed overall, about his motive and all that, and what he wants to achieve, just a whole new appreciation. A whole new appreciation for a lot of the crew members and all of that. But, Let's also talk about Zoro. So one of the big highlights, I think, of the Water 7 Enies lobby, for me personally, besides the obvious mandatory highlights, you know, Sogeking and also, you know, the fights with Rob and Luffy, you know, just the obvious stuff that people like. I think one of the big things that stand out to me was definitely the final part of the arc, is when Zoro told the crew, and especially looked at Luffy, he's like, I know our captain's an idiot. I know he's not someone that's completely smart, but at the same time, when things need to get serious, we need to respect our captain. And he was talking to Luffy, and just talking to everyone, saying, we don't need someone on our crew that doesn't respect our captain. If you can't respect him and all that, then you don't need to be a part of this crew. And Zoro just straight up looked at Luffy like a vice captain, is like, if you ever show weakness in front of me again, like you were just trying to do, trying to go, you know, bring Usopp back, and without him apologizing, then I'll be the next one to leave the crew. I was like, yo, Zoro had such an epic moment in that moment. Like, just the way he was basically saying, look, we joke around, we can be idiots, but at the end of the day, you're our captain, you're a man above us, you're going to be the king of the pirates, you cannot be showing weakness like that. And Zoro just talking like a true vice captain. I was just like, man, that's such a good scene. It's a really good scene. Whew. Man, Oda did a good job of that arc. Very good job. So anyways, we started Thriller Bark as well. We're just at the start of it. We just met Dr. Hogback. That's who we just met. And, we also got to see Brook, obviously, because he's literally on the first episode of the arc, and oh man, best boy Brook, I love Brook, yoo-hoo-hoo! That's basically it, though. It was a great watch. It was extremely fun to rewatch One Piece once again. I can't wait to finally get into some future arcs and stuff. Oh, I'm excited, but yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun rewatching One Piece recently. It just makes me love the series so much more. So, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on how you feel about One Piece. I mean, if you're thinking about rewatching it, maybe the time is to do it now. Since it's Thanksgiving, you know, break for a lot of people out there that watch me, why don't you sit down and rewatch One Piece? I mean, it's pretty enjoyable. So, I love you guys. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please leave a like. I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.